Miss Ford, how are you? Oh. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Where are you, in the cabin?
Yes.
Oh my. Are you sheltering in place then?
No, just working. Have my office day today, so
Yeah.
working from home.
Okay, cool, cool. I'm excited. It's not like I haven't heard this before, but I'm always excited. If I can pick up one thing from you today and run with it, I know I'm gonna be good.
Well, thank you. Thanks for
Yeah.
having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. What was I? What did I saw the cutest dog video, and I'm gonna have Imani post it to my Facebook.
Uh huh.
And it was this guy exercising, and his dog was helping him. It was so cute. I thought I was gonna cry. They were doing the downward facing dog together. He was doing push-ups, right? And high fiving, and the dog was high fiving. It's the cutest thing. I can't wait for you to see it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, actually, let me see. I think I have your information saved. It is so cute. My daughter was showing it to me yesterday, and I almost cried. That's how cute it is. Let's see. Let's see. Here we go. Forward. Amanda. Oh, there you go. I have you saved. So, okay. All right. 678-760-4070. No.
That's me.
All right. Select. All right. Yeah, that is too cute. All right. So, of course, I'm going to start by having you introduce yourself and
Okay.
talk about, what brought you to the business, what it looked like. So talk about your struggles too.
Okay.
Especially now, there are a lot of moms who are on, and you know what this year has looked like for them. It's just crazy.
Hmm.
So most of our coaching is just keeping people together mentally.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's been something of a year as a coach,
Hmm.
because you've had to be empathetic and still hold them accountable and
Yeah.
just keeping them uplifted. Yeah. So it's been that kind of a year. Yeah. And I'm still excited about it and grateful to
Yeah. I
be
mean,
in the position. Yeah.
thankfully, our industry. I mean, even despite what's going on, it's been a busy year. It's been one of
It's
my best
been
years ever. So.
yeah, I mean, and our office is killing it.
Hmm.
We just beat our last, what was it, July, August, September, and we're on track to beat October.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah. So the office is just killing it with less people actually,
Hmm.
which makes Sherry happy.
Yeah.
'Cause
I bet.
she's like, hey, if we can get top productivity out of less people, that's good for the staff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Exactly.
understand that. Yeah. Hello, iPhone person. Can you put your beautiful face on? We don't care if you're in your pajamas. We would like to see your beautiful face, whoever that is. Hey there, Miss Imani. Say hi to Amanda.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for teaching for us today.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
welcome. My
Yes.
pleasure.
As you can see, she's in her cabin.
Yes.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
See, there's your beautiful face. And
Hello.
who is this?
I'm Sir Jean.
Sir Jean.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Sir
Hi.
Jean is new as of last week, I think.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Mhm.
New to the business or new to the office?
New to the office.
Okay.
I'm new to Georgia real estate because I'm from Massachusetts.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. hmm
And so Amanda, well, you haven't met Julianne yet, Sir Jean. So Amanda is Julianne's daughter. Yeah. And you're on mute. Hey, Donna. Donna, we would love to see your beautiful face. We don't
Oh.
care if you're in your PJs. You too, Regina. And Donna,
Hey,
we don't care if you have your hair in rollers or it's pulled back, whatever. It's that kind of year. Trust me, we won't judge you.
are you sure?
I am 100% sure. Yeah.
My phone.
I just threw on
Okay,
a little lipstick so I could look decent.
say that again.
I said I just threw on a little lipstick just now, just to bring a little color to
Oh,
my face. Yeah. Yeah.
okay. Well, okay, let me unmute. I've got dogs here. I mean, mute.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm. Hey, Shine Man.
Probably can't hear you yet.
I know.
Uh-oh.
Mhm. Hey, Shine. I love that still picture of you. And I love how your shirt has a picture of you on it.
Yes. Very clever.
Yeah, very, very nice. Unmute yourself, Shine, and say something. And we're going to get started in about 30 seconds because I am one for honoring people's time and starting on time. So thank you,
Thank you,
Amanda.
Audrey. I appreciate.
You're welcome. You're
Hi,
welcome.
everyone. I hope everyone is fine.
We are. I'm a little bit hungry, but hey, whatever.
I hear you.
It's almost lunchtime. Thank you so much, Amanda, for teaching for us today.
Thank you for having
And for those of you who do not know, Amanda is a single agent with an assistant and a couple of marketing people. And Amanda does as much, y'all, like a small team. So Amanda, I'd like you to introduce yourself. Start with, when you came into the business, why real estate, and please talk about your struggles too, and the road that it took to get here. And then we'll move into other things.
Leverage, yes. So my name is Amanda Fard. I'm out of the city side office, which is in Smyrna. I have been a licensed agent since December of 2006, which is when I graduated college. And if any of you were not in the industry back then, 2007 was still pretty good. And then, of course, 2008 hit, which is where many of my struggles came from. A, being new to the business, B, being in the lowest, down market in our history, and just learning to break through that and increase my business year after year, which I was able to do with the help of coaching and my husband and mindset, for sure. Now I have a licensed assistant who's kind of a part-time assistant. I have a closing coordinator, and that's it. I have had full-time assistants over the years, always kept a specific and separate closing coordinator, but for the most part, it is me, and with the help of my husband and our small team, we do on average about 100 units a year.
Wow. All right. And so, my goodness, you said something. You said with the help of your husband, with the help of coaching, and of course, you surround yourself, because this conversation is about leverage. So you're surrounding yourself with people who hold you accountable. And I've met your husband. He's a fantastic coach.
Yeah, he's been
And
special.
he's so, yes, he is special. He's so absolutely driven. So let's talk a little bit about that. What was it about him that attracted you to him?
So we met, actually, I was working for a custom home builder in college, and he owned the mortgage company that was our preferred lender. So we worked together for a few years before we started dating. And then obviously, again, in the down market, it wasn't fun for mortgage people, just like it wasn't fun for real estate agents. Through that, we found opportunity in flipping properties. So he actually got out of mortgages, and we started flipping one at a time, another one, and just really worked together with a common goal through the down market to leverage our businesses and keep focused on what was important to us. And I think that's the key of us working together and leveraging against each other, is again to have that same common goal and constant accountability to each other. And whether it's a spouse or a sister or a business coach or whatever, having that person to hold you accountable, I think, is imperative to keep in track, because it's easy to have the low days and get off track a little bit. So it's good to have that accountability person.
Yeah. Oh God, especially for this year. This year has been brutal in its own right. Because COVID and schools being out, and young moms are now teachers, and they're not cut out to be teachers, and kids are frustrated. So having the right mindset is key. So talk to us a little bit about what your schedule looks like to be able to sell 100 homes per year and increase your business year over year with just an assistant and your husband, who's not really in your business per se.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So talk to us about what that schedule has to look like.
So that has changed over the years, and that's actually one thing I wanted to touch on about leverage today, which is one of, I would say, is my top 4 most important things is my schedule. It's very easy in this business to have obviously multiple clients and their schedules, and you feel yourself trying to fit into 5 different people's schedules with work and school and all that kind of stuff, and it's just not realistic, and it's not sustainable long term. So what I learned years ago is that I needed to create my perfect schedule, and that my clients would fit into that. And at first I thought, well, maybe people won't want to meet during the week to go show homes, because I just assumed that everybody wants to work on the weekend when they're off work. But what I realized is when I created that schedule and I had those time slots set specifically for appointments, my clients made it work. They were able to get off work early. They were able to take their home days from work. I mean, now everybody's working from home, so it's even more flexible for them to jump on their conference call on the way to go look at a property and mute themselves if they need to walking through, or jump off of it or whatever. So really creating that perfect schedule for yourself and then having your clients fit themselves into that is very important, because otherwise you're just being pulled in a million directions and you're acting reactively instead of proactively with your schedule.
So what I'm hearing you say is you're teaching people how to treat you.
Correct.
And I'm hearing you say that you're running your business like a business because it is.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no other thing on the side for you. This is your business.
Yes, this is my business. Yes.
All right, but come on, Amanda. You know, I'm new to this business and I just can't have a schedule. I just have to show my clients the house when they want to see it. If it's Sunday, you know, if it's whatever. I mean, you can always say that because you're selling 100 homes. I don't know what it looks like having a schedule that somebody else fits into. What is that?
Well, I think it goes back to knowing what's important to you, knowing your values and goals.
Okay.
One thing that I also preach about in my top 4 for leveraging is realizing your non-negotiables.
Mhm.
And for that, it could be your kids' soccer games on Saturday, or it could be working from home on Friday and, you know, carving out time for your family. For my husband and I, we don't have any children, but we bought a cabin in Blue Ridge 6 years ago. And going up to the cabin every weekend was my non-negotiable.
Mhm.
I did, you know, have appointment slots scheduled out on Saturday, but it would have to be at least 2 buyers that I was going down to meet. Otherwise, it didn't make sense for me to come off the mountain. So that was my non-negotiable, is to go up Thursday afternoon, work from up there Friday, and then come back Monday morning. So realizing what's most important to you first and saying, this is more important than any deal, any client, anything, and then working your schedule around that, that helps to keep you focused too on what's most important.
Okay. So you said you have 4 non-negotiables.
I have 4 leveraging suggestions that I live by. Yes.
Okay, so we talked about the scheduling, and then what are the other 3?
So the first one is closing coordinator.
Okay.
I could not say this enough. I will say it till I'm blue in the face. I don't care if you're a brand new agent. I don't care if you've been in the business for 5 years. I don't care if you have absolutely no deals right now, or if you have 5 deals right now. You need to go hire a closing coordinator. That is the best amount of leverage that you can get for the least amount of money. And I don't understand why everybody doesn't have one. You only pay them when the deal closes, so it's nothing out of your pocket. You're not having to hire and fire people like, you know, having a full-time assistant. They know what they're doing. They're professionals, and they help you leverage your time so that you can not be processing contracts, but be going out there and getting more business. So that was definitely number 1. Number 2 is, like I said before, creating your perfect schedule and making sure that you stick to that. For instance, mine, I know you asked me a few minutes ago and I think I got off target, but for mine, my appointment days are right now are Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I try to do all my closings on Thursday. The reason I do that is because everybody closes on Friday. And when everybody closes on Friday, the closing attorneys get packed, and if something has to be moved, it's a little more difficult. So every time I write a contract, I always do a Thursday closing that I negotiate in there so that I can have more leverage on that. And then worst case, if it gets bumped today, it's just bumping to Friday as opposed to an entire weekend that's being lost with movers and people and all that kind of stuff. Tuesdays and Thursdays are my in-office days where I'm lead generating, following up with clients, and just, you know, maintaining, you know, doing stuff that I need to on the business. Of course, none of that is contract processing, because as soon as I get a contract, I send it over to Michelle with the closing company, and she takes it from there. And there's not much other than negotiating due diligence stuff that I have to do on the contract after that. Number 3 on my 4 list would be creating your ideal client. And that goes in line with your ideal schedule. This is the hardest thing to do because it's hard for us as agents to pass up on business or feel like we're not taking everything that we can. But I'm sure everybody on this call has had those clients that completely drain you mentally, emotionally, and knowing what your ideal client is, what their values are, what locations you want to specialize in, even the price point, really helps you to mentally attract those type of clients and stay away from the ones that are going to be energy vampires and suck the energy out of you so you don't have anything else for other clients. And then number 4 would be the non-negotiables. And again, that works hand in hand with your scheduling. You absolutely have to know what is most important to you, which will help you every day to stick to your schedule.
All right, so Amanda, I want to open this up to everybody else, but I want to go back to something that, and I know I've heard you say it before, and I want to go back to number 3.
Okay.
How in the world do you, because I have my ideal client in mind. I don't always attract my ideal client to myself.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you, first of all, create your ideal client and then attract your ideal client? And then what was it that made you say, you know what, I've got to create my ideal client?
So the thing that made me realize that I needed to create my ideal client is I felt myself being torn in all different directions. And as I started to grow and do more and more units every year, I realized that there's only so many hours in the day that I can obviously physically be in places, and just there's only so many clients that you can take on at a certain point. Now, obviously listings are leverage as well, because you can take 20 listings, and with the help of a closing coordinator or a listing input person, you can manage those from anywhere. The buyers, I feel like, really, if you're doing this the right way with focusing on listings and also having some buyers, I only take 4 to maybe 5 A buyers at any given time. So by realizing that, okay, I've got, say, 4 slots for A buyers, A being that they're going to be buying in the next 30 days, they're pre-approved, they're ready to go, the motivation is there. Those are the people I want to focus on. Those are the contracts that I'm going to get. So now I've got 4 slots. Well, I'm not going to put just anybody in those 4 slots, because I don't want somebody that's going to be, I'm driving 2 hours to go show properties because that's the location that they're looking at, or, they're not flexible and fitting into my schedule because, for whatever reason, or if they're just not nice people, I don't want to spend time with them. So a lot of that has to do with, again, just realizing what your time is worth and who you want to spend your time with. And the more you focus on that and you relay to people that, hey, I'm looking for another buyer to fill a buyer slot. Here's who I'm looking for. Do a missing persons report to your database and say, hey, I'm looking for a buyer that is looking in East Cobb between, $200,000 and $500,000, looking to, move in the next, say, 60 to 90 days, and just put it out to your database. And I guarantee that they know somebody who fits that profile, and that's how you start, to get that client. The other thing is birds of a feather flock together. So as you get into these clients and you start working for them and you grow a reputation and they trust you, they're going to refer you to their friends and family who are most likely very much so like them. So that snowball effect just starts to gain, and you can just keep adding to that. Every once in a while, what I call a sheep or a wolf in sheep's clothing tries to sneak in, and I'm guilty of it too. I've taken clients on that I just knew in my gut was not, but it was the price point, or it was a referral from somebody by way of referral, I guess, not, like people, but every once in a while one will sneak in and it'll just kind of jolt you and remind you that this is why I need to be very specific and careful who I allow into my database.
Mm-hmm. All right, you guys, unmute yourself, and if you have any questions, jump right in, please. All right, so let me ask another question. You said something about your ideal client fits a certain price point and a certain location.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit about the price point and the location?
I think that's different for everybody. I know that we all, feel like we specialize in certain areas. And again, as a single agent, you have to be very careful of, what you're focusing on. And again, this was probably the hardest thing for me out of the 4 items that I now live by to do, because it's easy to have the benchmark of, my ideal client is a client that has a property or is buying a property between $250,000 and $600,000 in the North Metro Atlanta area. And obviously you can, focus on that as much as you depending on what your business is. But it's super easy to get that client that's a $200,000 client. They're like, well, it's not quite 250, but it's close, and let's go ahead and take them. Every time that I've done that though and gone outside of my ideal client base, especially now that I've been doing it over the years, it always ends up being a headache and taking more time, and it makes me realize, why I do what I do. With that said, when I started the ideal client and really started having my coach hold me accountable and having my husband hold me accountable on who I was taking on, I would refer them out. So it's not like you're not getting something. You still get a referral fee. And the other thing is I had to trust myself to know that the reason I'm doing this is not because the reason I'm doing this is because it's best for them and it's best for me. And I say best for them because there are clients, and I'm sure we've all had them, specifically maybe first-time home buyers or things like that, in a certain price range, especially now, where you have to be able to drop everything and jump and go, run out to a property within 30 minutes of it being listed. With my schedule, I cannot provide that service to that client. And so it's not fair to them for me to pretend like I can when I can't. And it's not fair to myself to take that time away from my other clients that do fit in with my values and my goals. So realizing that you're not passing them on because, you're too good or this or that, it's not that. It's that who is, the clients that are going to serve your goals and be able to allow you to have the highest possible service to them. And if they're not fitting within that, then it's only fair to them that they go with an agent that can serve them at the highest level.
Yeah. And I had that happen to me this year, and it was such a relief. And the reason, and I should not, like you said, I should not have taken this client on. I took the client on because she came highly referred from one of my very special vendor partners. And she was looking all over the place. And the first time I went out with her, I came back and I was complaining to Imani. I was like, she started in Powder Springs. We ended up in Fairburn somewhere. And I was just complaining. And I'm like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
But I was so afraid to drop her because I didn't want. And then she called me back because she called and she said, can you take me out tomorrow to Fairburn? And I'm like, well, I can't because I do have a schedule, right? I can refer you to this agent, which she said, oh, I don't want him. So she called back and she said, well, do you mind if I go with somebody who is going to be accessible to me? And I was like, thank you, Jesus. Yes, I don't mind at all. Go ahead with my blessing. But yeah, in your gut, I know that I should not be running all over the 2 hours to Fairburn, right? What am I doing in Fairburn? So it's just having the confidence to say, you know what, let me refer you out to somebody in that area and know that it's not because I'm too good for you. It's because I'm best serving you by giving you somebody else.
Yeah.
And it's hard. I will tell you, for most new agents, that's hard to do because that's the only one, right? And it's a referral. Yeah. So somebody put in the chat, and I know the answer to this. What's your opinion of Fsbos and expireds?
I think they're a great way to get business. It is not something that's in my wheelhouse of what I focus on, but I do know agents that I highly respect that have built their businesses on it. And that goes to something else too. I know, in Keller Williams, there's so much information that's given to us. And, if you go to Mega Camp or Family Reunion, or you're taking all these Zoom calls that have been going on this year, there's always, lots of ideas that you can do. The key is to picking out the pieces that fit your life, your goals, and your schedule, and focusing on those. So if you want to focus on Fsbos and expireds, go focus on Fsbos and expireds. What I caution people from doing is focusing on Fsbos and expireds one week, and then the next week you're focusing on, well, I'm going to go crush open houses, and then the next week, well, I'm going to really focus on, building my database by 10 people every day, or, the next week, well, I'm going to go back to Fsbos and expireds. That does not work. You have to be consistent. And the more you pick what what you want to do, and you focus on that and you do it consistently, the better you're going to get at that. So I can tell you right now, Fsbos and expired is not something that I focused on over the years, and I'm okay with that. There's enough business out there for everybody, so it's just a matter of finding, what you want to focus on. And I think that they are, great, but if you're going to do it, that's what you should focus on.
Okay. All right, great. So before we go on, do you guys have any more questions?
What did you focus on when you started out?
When I started out, I focused on voice pad leads, which they don't have those anymore. It was before the internet was really cool with, being able to have information at buyers' fingertips. And what we had was these signs that would go on all of our listings, and they would call the specific number and it would give them the information on the house. Well, it was a lead capture system, so it would capture their phone numbers and send them to me. And that's how I cut my teeth getting into the business, is following up with those. I think an equivalent in this market would be open houses. I think that's a great way to get face-to-face and meet people. Not to mention, I feel like, that human connection is so important, especially now that people have been sheltering in place, or they don't have, face-to-face, or everybody, is, in this text world or email world. And I think that open houses and being in front of people really helps. So yeah, that's how I, grew mine. And then once I was able to, gain those numbers and put them in my database, then I focused on growing my database and cultivating my database, which is my number one focus now, is past clients in my database. I actually have a different sector of my past clients. It's called my A list. And that's anybody who's purchased in the last 2 years, sold or purchased in the last 2 years, or has referred me somebody in the last 2 years. And every year I update my A list, and they get some special attention throughout the year. And that's who I focus on.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anybody else?
Looks like we've got another question.
Let's see. Oh, I think that's, would you prefer door knocking or cold calling?
I don't mind either. But I think from a time perspective, obviously cold calling, you can get more calls in, but it's really figuring out what your percentage rate is of what you're getting from those. I feel like door knocking may be a little bit more time intensive, but you can get that, one-on-one connection. So again, I think it's, going back to what your personality is and what your time allows for. I know door knocking, I've done that before. My husband and I actually, in the neighborhood that we lived in back when I was first starting, he took one side of the street and I took the other. We grabbed the dog and we went and introduced ourselves. So I think that there's a lot of benefit to that. And then cold calling, again, I think there's a lot of benefit to that as well. So I think, again, it's focusing, right? So you can't door knock, half the day and then go home and say, well, that's not working. Let me go to cold calling. It's, coming up with a plan, sticking to it, and consistency on it.
How would you introduce yourself? Like, just let them know that you're a new agent, or?
So I've always felt that whatever marketing or generation you're doing, it really should come from contribution. And you've got to take yourself out of it, because there's tons of agents out there, right? So what can I bring to you that can benefit you, so that when you think of going and selling or buying, or if you hear of somebody going and selling and buying, you'll think of me in return. So I think that bringing a CMA of recent sales for the neighborhood is beneficial to them. Maybe even if you find like an off-market sale that happened, or a coming soon property that you've heard of, and saying, hey, I'm not sure if you've heard about this. There was a great sale that just happened. It actually didn't even hit the market. It was such a hot property. I know the listing agent, or I was the listing agent, or whatever the case is. And they got multiple offers. So just wanted to let you know that, the market is hot in your neighborhood right now. Do you have any questions regarding your home value that I can help you with? Whatever you can bring to them as far as information that's beneficial to them, I think that's your key. Because people, they want to know what their home's worth, right? I mean, who doesn't, especially in a market right now. So coming to them with that information, I think, is the best strategy.
So Shine wanted to know, how did you find your licensed assistant, Amanda?
I've been through a lot of licensed assistants, which is why I scream closing coordinator is the way to go, especially if you're a single agent. Hiring and firing is not fun unless that's your personality type, and it's not. Every assistant that I've had over the years has gotten better. We've found them by way of, database referrals. My sister worked with me for some time. Actually, my mom was never my assistant, but I got her into the business, and she was on my team for a short time before she, went and did her own thing. So I think when you're looking at assistants, the most important thing is to really make sure that you understand what you're bringing them on for. Is it just to do listing maintenance? Is it truly to help you with marketing? Because there's so many options right now that you don't necessarily have to have a full-time person, and you can just kind of pick and choose and piecemeal professionals at what they do, to do what they do. But my assistant right now, his name is Brian. He actually was a past client of my husband's. My husband has a renovation company, and him and his wife, he did a full renovation on their house, and we were looking to get some help really as a runner at first. And he was a stay-at-home dad, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, that'd be perfect." And we knew him at that point. We knew, his integrity, great guy. So that's how we found him. But every assistant we found has been by way of referral, which I think is a good way to go.
Yeah. And of course, Shine, to add to that, I would do the KPA on them or the discount.
Absolutely.
And then have somebody else in the office kind of interview them for you too.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sean Rawls said something years ago that really resonated with me, and I tell myself this every time, we have an opportunity for a new assistant, or, we've got some changes going on, because people, life happens. We've had assistants that, by no fault of ours, but they've, moved away, or they've, decided to, stay at home with their kids or different things. But no matter what, be slow to hire and fast to fire.
That's Gary.
And the slow to hire part is so hard, because you find somebody and they seem to be on paper, look like they work, and you need your help. And just stepping back and making sure that you have them vetted through, the Keller Williams process, which is amazing, and it's available to you for nothing. That's very, very important, is stepping back and making sure that you're, making the right decision.
Yeah. And oh, by the way, Shine, career visioning is an extremely great class to take to teach you how to hire. I think I paid $600 for that class just by itself. It's coming up. I saw it on Facebook where it's $150 for career visioning, 30, 60, 90, right? And then success through others. And I can give you some more information on that. Yeah. So if you're looking to hire anybody, I think Courtney Newton, every time she's looking to hire somebody, she does career visioning again. Yep. They used to call it, what did they used to call it before? R something another. Oh gosh.
I know, but I can't remember.
Yeah. But anyway, career visioning is a great class for you to take, and I'll talk to you some more about that. Leveraging. So you said something, you said having listings is like the biggest leverage. So can you expound on that, please?
Yeah. So listings, list to last. You've heard that.
Yeah.
List to leverage. You've heard that. I mean, it is the number one way in this business that you can leverage yourself to, multiple units. Physically, to go out and show buyers property, it takes time. But if you've got 10 listings and they're being shown by other agents on the weekend, you can be in Hawaii, you can be at the beach, or you can be, I know of an agent that is still out of our office. He now lives in London, and he still runs his business, and he has for almost 6 years. And he just takes listings. He's got a very high marketing presence, because that's his specialty. Again, going back to finding what you're good at. And he's got a great website that collects leads. He does a lot of online, which is kind of his thing too. So listings, they are the honey to the bees, which is the buyers. So if you get listings, not only will you get more buyers, but you can also handle many more clients at one time if you get a ton of buyers.
Yeah. Any questions, you guys? Any other questions on anything else? There are a couple of questions in the chat, but I'm giving you guys a chance to just unmute yourself and ask some questions, guys. Come on. This is almost 100 units every year.
Hi, this is Regina. What book are you currently reading or have read, and what book do you recommend? Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Regina. So the last book that I read is The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, I believe.
Mhm.
Um, for me, it helps with or helps keep my focus on getting things done when they need to get done and not procrastinating. We all have our things that we are challenged with and work on. And the power of now is not only about doing things as you need to, but also staying present in moments, which I think is really important right now in our society and economy. So I would recommend that one. The number one book I would probably recommend to a new agent or even a seasoned agent is Shift and the Red Book. Everybody should be reading that right now, over and over again, making your notes. It's literally the pathway to becoming successful in real estate. So those would be some that I would definitely recommend.
Yeah, and we're
Thank you.
doing shift.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome, Regina. We're doing shift right now with our Ramp Up 2021 group. So we're dissecting that.
And the
Yeah,
shift is coming. I've seen it before. It's coming again. I mean, we've had an
absolutely.
amazing year despite the pandemic, which is amazing. I felt like this was going to be the year that we started to shift, and we got another type of shift, I guess, that we didn't expect. But it's coming. So the more you can prepare yourself, it's not something to be fearful of. It's just something to be prepared for. And when preparation meets opportunity, that's where success happens.
Yeah. So we are in a shift. It's just not a shift that any of us expected. Yeah, right. And so we're seeing some people fall off, and we're seeing some people just step up and just mastering their craft, right? For
Can I
lack
ask a question?
Yes.
Hi, this is Sharik. I'm under my son's Mustafa's Skype account. I didn't change the name. So in terms of the shift, what have you seen as an agent during the shift? Because I wasn't a realtor during that time. What kind of things happened during a shift that, how would you describe it in the real estate world, and like how that affects your business as well?
So I mean, the good thing is the shift that we're coming up on is going to be a natural shift, or the shift that we're in, I should say, is a natural shift. The real estate market is cyclical. What goes up must come down, and it goes up again, down again. Back in 2008, I mean, it truly was. I mean, we called it the shift, but it was a crash. But what we did find in that time, and what I continue to remind myself of, is the best of the best agents were in that market. And it was because they cared, and it was because they put time into their craft. It was because they focused on what was most important to them. It was because they were consistent over what they were good at. And going back to whether it's Fsbos or expireds or door knocking or open houses, I mean, people really, they figured out what path they wanted to focus on, and they stayed on that. And as long as they did, then they were successful. So I think going into the next shift, it's really about realizing what you want for your business as an agent, going back to who your client is, and then mastering that, becoming the neighborhood specialist on certain neighborhoods or a certain zip code, or making sure that you are the one that if anybody has any questions about real estate, they know that you're not just out there showing property and putting offers together, that you truly are the local expert. And people realize that. You have to let them know that, though. So you can't do all this research and know all these things and then never share it. So sharing on social media, sharing with your database, doing first-time homebuyer seminars or neighborhood value seminars or things like that. Make sure that not only are you a student of the market, but you let people know that you're a student of the market, and that will always continue to have you be successful in any market.
Okay, thank you. And also, like, would listings, the number of listings go down in a shift? Would the number of buyers in the market do they generally decrease in a shift?
So typically in a shift, it's supply and demand is what it ends up being. So right now, as I'm sure all of you are seeing, we need inventory for listings. So because the inventory is low, it's a seller's market. So the buyers are out trying to find stuff. In a shifted market, it's a sorry, I'm getting turned around. So right now it's a seller's market. In a shifted market, it's a buyer's market, which means that number of listings does go up, time on the market does go up. And it's really about being the prettiest girl at the dance and the cheapest date, is what Sean Rawls used to say.
Yeah.
So in a shifting market, I would highly recommend focusing on what listings you're taking, making sure that you're not just taking a listing to take a listing, because if it sits for 6 months and nothing happens, then that's 6 months that you wasted your energy and time on it. You really need sellers or clients that are motivated. You need clients that are going to listen to you and help strategize with you on making sure that the house does show as well as it does. Getting price reductions agreed upon ahead of time when you're signing the listing agreement, and have a schedule for that. That was something that was really important in the last shift. And just making sure that you're working with motivated people, because you will see the listing inventory go up and things will sit. And again, making sure that you've got the best listings to sell will be the way for success.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. So if you need to take a vacation as a fairly new agent, would you pay for someone to open doors is the next question.
Yeah, I don't see why not. I feel like there's two parts to that question. I like that somebody's asking about a vacation as a fairly new agent, because that is so important. There was many years that my husband and I did not take vacations, and I do not recommend that at all. In fact, we would even have vacations scheduled and then we'd cancel them because I just felt like I couldn't get away, which is ridiculous. So blocking that time, letting your clients know that, hey, I'm going to be out of town, but I've got somebody, you know, overlooking my business with me. I think that's important. And yeah, I don't see a problem with having somebody leverage to open doors for you. I just think that as long as you communicate it with your clients ahead of time, and you tell them that you do have support for them while you're gone, then they'll be completely fine with that.
Thank you.
Great question. Any more questions?
This is Regina. Do you do any kind of newsletter, and what is one feature that you possibly use in Command? Thank you.
In Command, I love the marketing stuff. It's so easy, and they look good. So I would say that's the number one feature that I'm using. And I can't remember what it's called, but it's the one that you click on it. You can just, I mean, you can look up your address or your listing in that system, and it pulls up all the pictures. So it's already there. So you're not having to upload pictures and all that kind of stuff. So I would say that's a huge leverage piece that either you can do yourself or have your, you know, teenage, you know, son or daughter do it, or, you know, even get somebody for, you know, $10 an hour to create marketing pieces through that, because it's pretty much foolproof. It's just a matter of sitting down and doing it. And I'm sorry, I forgot the first part of the question.
So did I. I'm sorry, I'm on muscle relaxers, and so sorry about that. It'll come back to me.
Okay.
Do you do any kind of newsletter? Like, do you do something separate from Command? Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. So yes, I do. And that's actually a great story of when I started out as well. So when I started in the business, I was fresh out of college. The market, you know, was where it was. My husband was transitioning out of mortgages into, you know, what we were going into. And I didn't have money for marketing. I mean, I had barely enough money to keep my lights on. So I did not have a marketing budget to send out mailers or things like that. What I did have, though, is in the neighborhood that I lived in at that time, there was a ladies group and an email list, and they'd send out emails like once a month about get-togethers and stuff like that. And I was sitting there one day, and I was like, actually, I had just heard that 2 homes in our neighborhood had gone into foreclosure. And I sat there and I was like, you know what, I need to let people know what's going on. Because at that time, you know, short sales weren't cool yet, and foreclosures, you kind of felt like it was happening, but not really close to, you know, home for you. And so I sent out an email to that group that I had access to all their emails. And I said, hi, I'm a neighbor. I've met many of you, but just for the rest of you to know, I'm, you know, also real estate with Keller Williams Realty. I just found out about 2 foreclosures in our neighborhood, and I just wanted to let you guys know what was happening. I'm here to help with anything that you need or any information that you want. And from there, I got such a huge response that I started doing a monthly email. And it was basically just, like I said before, just kind of telling what was going on in the market, what was going on with values, and just bringing them something of value. And that led up to, I mean, I think at this point I've got close to 500 emails that I'll still send emails out periodically. I did start farming in that neighborhood once I had a budget and money to do so. And honestly, that's the only farm that I've ever had, is that, you know, that small neighborhood. But I think that, you know, sending out that information is important. Another thing that I did to my database back then, and still do in some aspect, is to do a pick of the week. So one week I would do like lake houses, and I'd find two really neat, you know, lake homes wherever, and I'd send out to my database. Of course, you have to get permission from the listing agent to use the photo, which most of them will be happy to do. But just send out a weekly pick and say, hey, look, you know, this week we're looking at some awesome lake houses. Who do you know that's interested in that? Or I'd do, actually the way I got my first luxury buyer was I sent out a pick of the week for homes over $1 million in Atlanta. And I got my first luxury buyer referral that I had, you know, hadn't had anybody close to that price range at that point. Another one I would do a weekly pick of great investment properties for rentals. And another week I would do, you know, a pick of the week for, you know, East Cobb for great school districts or whatever. So just coming to them with information. And again, the more you can show people that you are a student of the market and you know what's going on, I think that's great information to send out. And you don't have to spend any money on it. I mean, through the command stuff that you have now and your email, you can definitely leverage that for yourself.
Great info. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was fantastic. So these are all emails. Your pick of the week.
Yep.
Yeah, which costs nothing really, just some time. Yeah.
And farms do work. I mean, Courtney Newton, for example, I mean, she, you know, we kind of grew up in the business together, and, you know, she's had a farm for quite some time, and it's grown and it's grown and it's grown. And she gets a ton of stuff from her farm, but the key is that she was consistent with it. So I think I've heard statistics say that it really takes about 6 months to start cultivating people in your farm, whether that be through emails or you get involved in the HOA board or you do mailers. It's something that you've got to do and you've got to stick with. The farm that I have was in a neighborhood that I lived in for 8 years. I no longer live in that neighborhood, but I'm still considered the expert in that neighborhood, and everybody reaches out to me. Obviously, I'm constantly still sending them stuff and giving them information, but it's the consistency over it. I know one particular neighborhood, I was actually talking to another agent too recently, and it's a neighborhood that he lives in. And he's like, I'm just, you know, up against a wall, you know, I'm trying to get listings in there, but there's this one agent and she just keeps getting everything before it even comes on the market. And I said, well, does she live in there? And he said, yeah, she actually rents in there. She doesn't, which is fine. She lives in there, right? But he goes, you know, I think this is kind of her MO. She goes and she rents in neighborhoods, becomes the neighborhood expert, and then when her lease is up in 2 years, then she goes to another neighborhood and rents, which I think is genius, you know, especially if you like moving a lot. But it's all, I mean, it just goes back to, you know, getting yourself out there and letting people know that you are the one that they need to reach out to, because, you know, they know that other people are reaching out to you as well, and you can possibly sell their house before it hits the market, or at least give them the information that maybe nobody has.
Right. Yeah. Good.
Regina, again, do you use much video in your emails or anything?
In my emails, no. I will do some Facebook Live stuff to my database and do like home tours. But in my videos, I have not. But I think it's a great idea for sure.
So talk about your A-list, your special list, and specifically, what are you going to do this year? Because I know of some of the other things you did last year, but what is your November and your December going to look like with your A-list people?
So my A-list, like I mentioned before, is anybody who's bought and sold with us in the last 2 years or has referred me anyone in the last 2 years. I started it about 4 years ago, and now people know about it. I had a client the other day he referred me somebody and they closed, and I sent him the picture of them at closing, and he goes, oh good, I get to stay on the A-list next year. And I said, yeah, you do. Keep the referrals coming and you'll keep staying on it. So it's something that my clients now know about, which is fun, and they feel special, and it's a way for me to give back to them, because those are the people that are bringing me the business, so why not love on them?
Yeah.
Kind of intertwining into, marketing too. Everybody runs their business separately and differently, but I feel like the marketing dollars that I do have allowed and budgeted, I prefer to spend that on my people that support me. So instead of doing huge, marketing plans or things like that, I instead take that money and put it toward them. So typically we do a quarterly gift. We've done pop sockets, we've done Yeti tumblers, we've done, oh gosh, Braves tickets. So we've got season tickets to the Braves, which obviously this year nobody could go, but we'll give away Braves tickets, and we have them in the Infinity Club, so they get, a food credit and a beverage credit. We allow those to our A-listers first to schedule a game. We've done December, I always do a Fraser fir candle, which is my favorite candle, and we do drop bys to them. This year, obviously, was a little different because of what happened with COVID. So for our second quarter gift, what I did was I reached out to the clients on my A-list that own small businesses, and I gave each person on my A-list a $50 credit to one of those small businesses. So it supported my A-list clients that, needed support at the time, and it also brought my clients together to hopefully get them more business out of that, which everybody loved. So just things like that. We usually do a client appreciation party in the fall. This year, I'm still working on exactly, I've got some ideas of what we're going to do, obviously, to make it safe and social distancing and things like that. We've got a couple ideas that we're about to make a decision on. But yeah, I mean, basically once a quarter, just loving on the people that are sending us the most business.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know for most of us, the November get-togethers, because we had something planned and it's not going to happen, right? I had something planned for Marlowe's, and I don't think we're going to do that. So the idea is, okay, how do we love on them safely?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions before I ask a few more? Y'all are quiet now, and I know you're not usually this quiet. I don't want to be the only one asking questions. You got her for 8 more minutes.
No question, but it's been very inspirational, encouraging. Thank you.
And so, guys, this is what you do when you're at the listing listing consultation, and they want to price it higher than what you know it's going to sell for. Ask them, what would you buy your home for if it was on the market? And just shut up and let the silence do the heavy lifting.
This is Regina. If it's not too personal, what is your one thing?
Huh.
No, absolutely not. So my one thing is quality time with my husband and my fur dog, or my fur child, my puppy. Quality time with them and traveling. That is my one thing. Traveling is what gets me up in the morning, and it's been tough not being able to travel. So doing day trips and stuff like that has been important. But yeah, I would say quality time with my husband.
Thank you.
And I have to ask you one thing, because I remember how it came about. You were in a group with, we have Courtney, will be with us tomorrow. Courtney and what's his, John Zig, and they basically say, hey, we're joining coaching and you have to also. How many years ago was that?
That was, I want to say it was 2012, so it's probably been about 8 years.
Wow. Well, and why do you still have a coach? I mean, you're a big deal right now. You are a big deal. You could do without a coach because you've got a husband who he's fabulous as a coach. Why do you pay somebody a lot of money to hold you accountable?
I think the more you grow, the more you actually need a coach and need, you know, multiple coaches. I mean, you look at any professional athlete and they have multiple coaches. You look at any professional, you know, higher up CEO person and they have loads of accountability and coaches. It's a huge way to keep yourself accountable and make sure that you keep focused on what your goals are. And I think anybody who feels like they don't need a coach is doing themselves a disjustice for sure. Because it's an investment in yourself and it's the one way that you can invest in yourself. With that said, when I first started with MAPS coaching, I was with Bill Crespo, who is huge on lead generation, which is awesome. And it helped me, you know, for years. And then the year that I turned 30, I realized that I really wanted more work-life balance coaching. Going back to my one thing, Regina, you know, quality time, because this business can very easily take over all your time, 7 days a week, you know, every day of the year. So I switched to another coach within MAPS, and we actually didn't talk about business every coaching call. It was about, you know, where are my values and goals aligning? Am I giving enough time to the things that are most important to me? What are personal goals that I want to focus on so that I can be at my best level, you know, in my business for my clients? So it's not just about having somebody that's going to stay on you with, oh, you got to make this amount of calls and get this many contracts and this and that. It's about growing as a person and holding yourself accountable to be, you know, the best that you can be.
Okay, great. And so how many coaches do you have, which includes your financial coaches and your other coaches?
So I've got my MAPS coach currently. You know, my husband, we, you know, coach with each other. And I mean, I consider a lot of my colleagues that I'm, you know, close with, you know, somewhat coaches for myself, people that you can, you know, call and say, hey, I need you to hold me accountable for this, or hey, I want to bounce this off of you. So I think that, you know, having multiple people that you can lean on for that is important. And I don't think there's any number that's too small for that, and that everybody needs somebody. I mean, whether it's coaching in your market center with Arthrine and my mom, Julianne, or, you know, getting a MAPS coach or getting into a coaching program with your office. I mean, do something that's going to help you get to that next level.
Any other questions, you guys? We are right at the top of the hour.
Hey, this is Janice. I had put it in the chat box, but just curious how long it took you to have consistent business and start doing well when you first started.
Yeah, so thank you, Janice. Like I said, I started selling in December of 2006 when I graduated college. 2007, I went to a small brokerage, and that year, I think I did $50,000 GCI, which is great, you know, for first year. At the end of the year, I was told that I was the #1 residential agent in that company. They did a lot of commercial stuff. They didn't have any residential agents. And while that was kind of neat, I realized that I don't know what I'm doing. How am I #1? I need to get around people that are doing way more than me, or else I'll never be able to grow. So then 2008 hit, and obviously things slowed a little bit. But I always felt like there was consistent business just because I worked consistently. I mean, I got up and went to work every day with the help of my husband. There's many days that I did not want to leave the house, and he's literally like, you need to go talk to people in the grocery store. You need to go to a networking event, or you need to get out there. Because it's easy for one day to slip by and then another day, and then all of a sudden a week is gone and you only have so many of those. So I think as long as you're putting in the time, that consistency of the business will come. Sometimes it, you know, takes its time, but you just have to know that you're planting those seeds that are gonna flourish, and focus on the wins too. And I think that's something that we struggle with, and I still struggle with that. And it's something that my coach works with me constantly, because my personality is a growth personality. So I always have to be doing better or something, or growing as a person or growing as a business. And I fail to stop and appreciate the wins when I have them, because it's all about kind of the journey. It's not actually, you know, getting there. So having those wins and just telling yourself, okay, when I have my office days on Tuesdays and Thursdays, because remember, my appointment days are Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Closing days are Thursdays, and then the office days are Tuesday and Thursday when I'm not in closings. What am I going to do today to know that I went to work? And that's a question that you and only you can know the truth. You can tell somebody, you know, what you've done, or tell somebody, oh yeah, I worked so hard today, I got on the phone, blah, blah, blah. But you know when you've gone to work and you haven't. And there's many days where I would come home and tell my husband, well, I fired myself today because I didn't work. And if I had a boss that was sitting there over my shoulder all day long, they would say, what are you doing? You're not working. So knowing what that work day looks like to you, and feeling like at the end of the day that I did go to work today, I did what I was supposed to do, I'm proud of myself for that, and tomorrow I'm going to get up and do it again.
Mhm.
As long as you continue to do that, the business will come and the consistency of the business will be there. It's a direct correlation of you putting in the time is what, you know, when the business comes.
So can you say that again? Because I know I wrote it down. What am I doing today that tells me that I went to work? Is that, yeah.
And you know, I mean, we all know.
Yeah, we do. We
Been on
do.
Facebook way too much, or got caught up in negotiating something that really could have waited till later in the day, but it took over our lead generation.
Mhm.
You know, when you had that day where you know, go home and you're singing in the car and the sun is shining and you're like, yes, I was a, you know, boss babe today. And then there's those days that you're just like, I don't know where the day went. I don't know what I did, but I didn't do anything to further myself toward my goals.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that question. Who was that? Regina? No, it
That,
was
It was Jan.
Janice.
thank, thank you. That was great.
Yeah, that was fantastic, guys. It's right at 12 o'clock. Thank you so, so, so very much. We want to honor you and honor your time. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Amanda.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
All right. Thank you, guys. See you around. See you tomorrow at the TV. Thanks, Amanda.
Bye.
Bye.